Welcome to Travel in 20, your weekly passport to travelling like a pro. I'm Jacqui Felgate, and each week I'll be joined by travel insiders to uncover their top tips in just 20 minutes. This episode is brought to you in partnership with Banff and Lake Louise Tourism. Today we travel to Canada's Banff National Park to find out why it is the perfect wintertime destination. Ali Buckingham is our expert, and there is no one that knows more about Banff. Ali, hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Now, when I say there's no one that knows more about Banff, Ali, you were actually born there and your daughter was born there too.
I was born here. And yeah, I was lucky enough to come back in time to have my family and raise my family here.
Now, the Banff National Park is Canada's oldest national park. It is in the heart of the Rocky Mountains. So tell me why Australians, if they haven't seen it before, what's their first impression?
Usually what we hear from visitors is absolute awe. It feels like you're walking into a postcard. When you leave the airport and drive into the mountains, it's almost just a big wall of rock. In the winter, you see the snow, the ski hills you can see almost right from the road. So it's a magical place.
Take me there. And it's not actually hard to get there because it's not that far, is it? Is it 90 minutes drive from the airport?
It is, yeah, 90 minutes. Maybe a little longer if the weather's bad, but almost always just, a quick drive from the airport. There's shuttles. It's really quite convenient, right on the main highway of Canada.
Australians, we long for wonderful snow. Sometimes our ski seasons, we do struggle here a bit. So can you talk to me about the magnificence of Canadian snow?
Well, the snow here, especially in Western Canada and in the Rockies, we're right on the Continental Divide, so we get a lot of snow, and the high elevation of our ski hills here means that we get that really sought after, powdery, deep snow. And it lasts for months. Our ski season starts mid-November and we have one ski hill that's consistently open until the end of May.
Amazing. So is then winter the very best time to visit, and why?
I love winter in Banff. There is so much to do, well beyond skiing. The sightseeing gets this mystical, magical, like you're living in a snow globe. Everything sparkles, even like down to the little details, these frost formations you get in the creeks that are just, they don't look like they could be real. And they just go on for kilometers up the creeks, or if you're lucky enough to be by a lakeside or hot springs, all of those places, you just get these beautiful formations down in the details when you look up, and there's just mountains as far as you can see.
Just heaven, a slice of heaven. And you spoke about that winter wonderland and that snowglobe type appeal. Let's talk about Lake Louise then. I think when Aussies and when people who haven't been to Canada think about Banff, it's that image of the Chateau and the lake.
Absolutely. The view right from the Chateau, you're looking down Lake Louise, across the distance of the lake, and in the distance is Victoria Glacier. So you're just getting that full winter Canadian, a frozen lake, ice skaters on the lake. They clear a big section of the lake so that you can rent skates and skate. And yeah, really that feeling like you have stepped into some kind of magical paradise. Glacier in the background. And then, of course, you're still right at a Fairmont hotel. So you've got the hot chocolate in the fireplace once you're done skating.
It's exactly what I need, a bit of après-ski, Ali. What about if you're not the greatest skier? There's something for everyone, isn't there? Let's talk about, I guess, the skiing first, but also if you're not perhaps, or if you haven't skied before, it's a wonderful place to start.
It's a wonderful place to learn to ski. Our 3 ski hills here all have snow schools that are used to taking absolute beginners, people who have never even seen snow before. My dad was a ski instructor here for ages, so I definitely have that aspect that I think that everybody should learn to ski here. And then right up to things to challenge the experts. So for skiing and snowboarding, wanting to get started there. But one thing I really love about Banff is it's not that one-trick pony. If you're not into skiing or you've skied for a few days and need a break, there is winter sightseeing. We have a gondola that runs year-round that's just for sightseeing. So you go up the gondola almost right out of town, and it's an interpretive museum. So like great for kids. I love taking my daughter up there. You learn about the history of the park and the wildlife and all of that kind of stuff. And then beautiful restaurant at the top. So you can dine with this view of all the mountains laid out in front of you.
I cannot wait to go. I am so jealous. But it has that small town vibe when you're talking about restaurants as well. You've got that really high-end, world-class vibe, but you've also got the small town feeling, which I think a lot of people would really love.
It is definitely still a small town. So the population is less than 10,000 people consistently. And one of the things that's my favorite about Banff is because it's right in the middle of the national park, the town limit is defined. So it can't grow anymore, which means everything has to be within a 15-minute walk. Whatever hotel you're at, you are really steps from a selection of restaurants, whether you want that high-end experience or you want to go out for a little bowl of ramen. There are choices and you will not have to go far. Personally, I don't even own a car in Banff because we can walk everywhere, from the grocery store to restaurants to the theater. All of those things are right there.
And I think for families too, that's a really key point when you do decide to go for a skiing holiday or a winter holiday, to make it as easy as you possibly can.
Yeah, it is. It's really convenient. And it also means that when you first arrive, and I know when I'm on vacation, I'm always intimidated by how I'm going to find that place to get my morning coffee and within a quick wander around town, you've discovered like a whole array of restaurants, coffee shops. There's great museums in town. So all of these things, you can make your list of what you want to do with your evenings or your days off or anything that's not planned when you get here. You can discover it right on foot.
And is there one coffee shop, one restaurant that if you're coming to Banff, you absolutely cannot miss?
Everybody has a different answer to this. I have my favorite coffee shop is White Bark Cafe. It's just amazing baked goods, consistently great coffee. As far as restaurants, I really like that there isn't one that stands out. It's a choose your mood. There's a few new Indian restaurants that are great, buffet lunches. That's kind of my go-to for lunch. There's some really creative cocktail places. Brazen in the Mount Royal Hotel does. It's a show. It's entertainment when you go and you order a couple cocktails there. We have 2 brew pubs, so you can get some beer made with our mountain fresh water and get a tour of how they make the beer, what there is, and a real connection with the community in some of those, that they'll do a local beer that's seasonal and you get to support the library or the community foundation or the local minor hockey by having a beer in some beautiful scenery. Yeah, so we get all sorts of things, and it has that small town feel right along with the world-class beer brewing and cocktail making.
So after I've had my cocktail, can I please go to the hot springs, and can you please tell me about that?
Absolutely. The hot springs are right out of town. You can grab a bus. It's about 5 or 10 minutes on the bus. They're run by Parks Canada and have a real heritage feel. You can even rent old-timey bathing suits and get right into that feeling of it's the 1920s and you've just arrived in Banff. So you can do different things there. One of my other favorite things that's outside of skiing is Johnson Canyon, which is like a 20-minute drive outside of Banff. And it's very famous in the summer for its waterfalls and hikes and canyon. But in the winter, it is spectacular. Again, like these ice formations and the snow in a way that it feels like Dr. Seuss. And sometimes you're lucky enough you see people ice climbing. Ice climbing is getting harder and harder to find a dependable season. But it's here, it's consistently, we get great ice.
I think on that as well, when you're thinking about climate change, this is a really wonderful opportunity too to see things that we wouldn't see anywhere else in the world, in particular the glacier. And is that sort of on your top of your list if you are coming to Banff? It's just something that you must see.
I do think that seeing a glacier and seeing that ice that's just so different from typical lake ice, and the scale of it is just mind-blowing. The blue ice and the feeling of that this whole place was formed and shaped by ice like that, and the power of it and behind it is amazing. And
Oh, and I think that's really important when you go to a place to understand the history and to understand how people actually live in those areas. So, what is, for the uninitiated, how was Banff created? And it's obviously been a town that has a really deep history.
Yeah, so Banff has been, there's been people here since time began, and the Indigenous people have always seen it. There's a bunch of different Indigenous groups actually that have used this area, both for its hot springs and really its magical, the connection that people feel to it. So it's always been a spiritual place and a gathering place. And then Europeans first came as the railway was coming through. And that's when Banff became a tourism destination. And that's what it's been really right from the start. So the hot springs were discovered in 1885. A hotel was established. And that's where we got our beginning, was the railway town and the tourism town. So Fairmont, well, I guess it was CP Rail at that point, but built what is now the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel. The famous quote was the railway builder said, "We can't export the mountains, so let's import the people." and I mean that it's such a prophetic phrase to say, let's bring the people to Banff and let's show them this majestic place.
Well, bring me to Banff, Ali. I cannot wait. And what about Christmas time? I imagine, I guess, especially for those of us in the Southern Hemisphere, what is Christmas like? It's on our bucket list, many of us, to perhaps have a white Christmas with our children.
You can count on a white Christmas. I mean, we've had snow already here in October. Banff really leans into that Christmas feel. The town puts up twinkly lights, so you get the small town walking through with lights around, snow. And there are a few events that we run right around Christmas. So there's a market of local artisans. We even have a Christmas shop that's open year round and celebrates Christmas right through the year. But then lots of other shops really get in on that spirit and have beautiful Christmas displays. Lots of coffee shops we have a hot chocolate trail, so you get like a special seasonal drink that you can't get any other time of the year. Some of them are really over the top. Some of them are kind of an elevated basic, but lots of delicious treats and beautiful things to see that really feel like that storybook Christmas.
And if we are going to come to Canada, the Canada 23-24 small group winter tour with Northern Lights experience, Banff scenic helicopter flight and a stay at the Chateau, that's the one we want to do, isn't it?
That sounds like you're hitting all of the high points.
So can you tell me a little bit about the Northern Lights?
The Northern Lights they're one of those natural experiences that you need nature to cooperate. You can't guarantee it. With the amount of snow we get, we do have some clouds that bring that snow, so you can't always see the Northern Lights. But again, it's that spiritual feeling that you're seeing something that not everybody gets to see, that it's just astounding that the world can put on a show like this. So if you're lucky enough to be here at the right moment, you're in for a show. The Northern Lights are one of those things that when they happen, it stops you. It absolutely stops you in your tracks. You can't, it doesn't seem real. It feels like somebody have put you into a movie.
I think the whole of Banff sounds like one giant movie, to be honest, especially when we think about Aussie snow, the pictures if you haven't been there. And I wanted to ask you, if I was to come there, we've talked about the glacier, but what are the top 3 must-dos? What are your hidden secrets?
I would say you have to skate on Lake Louise. You can't come to Banff in the winter and not, you're skating outside, you're on one of the most beautiful lakes in the world, you're surrounded by mountains and glaciers. Absolutely must skate on Lake Louise. The getting on a glacier and knowing that you've had that experience that not everyone can. And really like putting your feet on ice that's thousands of years old. And then I'm a skier. I would definitely say you need to experience that Canadian champagne powder. It is unlike any other skiing, unlike the man-made snow that's icy or slushy or inconsistent. Still love the skiing, but that light, airy powder is it's something you don't forget. It's a totally different feeling.
Ali, you've taken me to Banff for 20 minutes, and thank you. I cannot wait to see it in person one day. Thank you so much for having a chat to us today.
Thank you.
If you've been inspired to check out Canada, then this is the way to do it. It is the Canada 23-24 small group winter tour with Northern Lights experience, Banff scenic helicopter flight and Fairmont Chateau stay. Head to luxuryescapes.com. It includes accommodation inside Banff National Park. Thanks for listening. Experience more of the world's best holiday destinations with Luxury Escapes, with more inclusions, more value and more expertise. Find and book everything you need, from hotels and resorts to flights, tours, cruises and experiences. Stay up to date with other episodes of Travel in 20 on Spotify, Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. And visit luxuryescapes.com to get more from your next holiday.